So we finally have word that there is the new ROG Ally that is on its way this year, and it is none other than the ROG Ally X, not 2, X. And we have to talk about that because it's more of an iterative update than it is anything, substantial. But there's some really cool things in it, and I definitely want to talk about it. And it does not at all like discredit this. They're still going to be selling this one as well. We're going to talk about that and more in this episode of Decked Up, a gaming and tech podcast. Oh, what's up, everybody? It's Mekel Kasanova, host of Decked Up, a gaming and tech podcast. We're back to talk about the new ROG Ally. Now, I recently did a podcast where I talked about the ROG Ally 2 and how I don't see that coming out for, maybe another year. And, well, I guess I'm still spot on with that because they just announced the next ROG Ally, and it's not the ROG Ally 2, it's the ROG Ally X, which is ultimately an iterative update on the current ROG Ally, but it's kind of substantial of an update. I mean, you're getting a couple new things with it. You're going to get more RAM, bigger storage, much bigger battery life, and some enhancements to the analog stick. So we're going to talk about that more. Before we do all that, do me a solid if you enjoy this podcast and you enjoy the content I put out. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and share the video. And also, if you're listening to it on audio platforms, make sure you do the same thing. Leave a rating, comment, and all that other stuff. And if you want to pick up some merch, like my new tribal MK logo, or if you want to get the Decked Up shirt, those will be available. Check the link in the description as well as pinned on the YouTube video. All that being said, let's go ahead and check out this information on the ROG Ally X. So let's switch on over to here. So I got notified of this by none other than Wario64. If you're not following Wario, you need to go ahead and be doing that. All right, so Wario64 talked about it, and basically this is a rundown. We're going to do this little rundown before we really touch on anything else. And basically it says ROG Ally X is the next ROG Ally handheld model. It's an improved version. So it's got the same Z1 Extreme chipset. Again, not an ROG Ally 2. It's going to be black with a revised shell. That's the one we saw in the background of that video for ROG, and a lot of people were like, oh, it's MSI Claw. It's like, no, it's not. So it's going to have bigger battery life, so way more, so 30 to 40% more capacity. It's going to be slightly heavier, along with revised grips, slight tunings to the D-pad, joysticks, and triggers. And it says Asus says the Ally X should now have more than its current 16 gigabytes of RAM and a longer M.2 2280 SSD slot. So I guess it could be more repairable. Redesigned joystick modules are also going to be interchangeable. Same exact SD card reader as used in its laptops with rearranged motherboard layout, as Asus doesn't believe any SD card issues actually had to do with overheating. So it's also going to be starting at a higher price than the original ROG Ally. So, but the original one still be sold. All right, so let's go ahead and check out this article, and then we'll end it with the video from ROG or Asus. All right, so here's the article here. It says Asus's next ROG Ally handheld will be the ROG Ally X, and this is from The Verge. Let's go ahead and go down. So this is written by Sean Hollister. All right, it says the Asus ROG Ally was the first true Steam Deck challenger. While I'd argue it fell a little short, it legitimately improved the state of affordable Windows handheld gaming with its plugged-in performance boost and smooth variable refresh rate screen. Now, Asus is beginning to reveal its successor, the ROG Ally X. Don't call it an ROG Ally 2 when it ships in the second half of the year. The Windows-based Ally X will have the same AMD Z1 Extreme chipset and the same 7-inch 48 to 120 Hz variable refresh rate screen. It's not quite like the Steam Deck OLED, where Valve got AMD to revise its chip for better battery life and stability, and added a larger, brighter, gorgeous new LED panel, or OLED panel, with improved response time and slimmer bezels. It says, But the newly black colored handheld will have a substantial battery life improvement. Asus Senior Vice President Sean Yin tells Verge because Asus will cram a substantially larger battery pack into the Ally X's revised shell. Says we're not looking at 30 to 40% more capacity. He tells me we're looking at way more than that. Asus won't talk specifics today. Instead, Yin asked me how much battery life I'd realistically like from a revised handheld. I say I'd want to double the worst case battery life to 3 hours since I'm currently seeing maybe 1.5 in intensive games. It won't disappoint your worst case scenario, he tells me. All right, so that's that image that we saw. And a lot of people thought that was the MSI Claw, but no, that was the Ally. It says, Yin says battery life has been the single biggest request since launch. Asus has seen how the community sometimes straps giant external batteries to their handhelds, even though the Ally theoretically had room inside for a larger battery pack. So when we launched the original Ally, we didn't have such a clear understanding that the battery might be something people desire more than a lightweight device, he admits. Battery isn't the only change Asus is talking about today. The Ally X is about addressing many of the community's top priorities for how to revise the original. We think about battery and storage, graphics, and memory ports. Our goal is to fit as many of those as possible into a device like this, Asus Senior Product Manager Gabriel Mate. Again, no specs today, but Asus says the Ally X should now have more than its current 16 gigabytes of RAM, so that you can allocate lots of it to the GPU without impacting the rest of the system. It says it should have a longer M.2 2280 SSD slot, so buyers can more easily find and purchase larger SSD upgrades than the current M.2 2230 allows. The Ally X should also be even more repairable with redesigned joystick modules that are more interchangeable and upgradable. I imagine if GillyKit steps up, while I didn't get to see it for myself, Asus says the handheld will be slightly heavier due to the larger battery with the revised grips and slight tuning to things like the D-pad, joysticks, and triggers. All right, let's, is there anything more to this? All right, it says, and while Asus won't admit that the Ally's SD card reader ever had any fault, it tells me it's the exact same SD card reader it uses in its laptops and says it doesn't believe any issues actually had to do with overheating. The Ally X will have a rearranged motherboard layout that sounds like it will move away from the system's vents. We don't want people to think that that's what we had to do. Ming says of moving the SD card reader. We had to move things around the board to make them fit. Asus says the Ally X's improvements will come at a cost. Unlike the Steam Deck OLED, which largely replaced Valve's LCD model at the same price points, the Ally X will start at a higher price point than the original. The original 2023 ROG Ally will also continue to stick around and may see discounts. As far as the ROG Ally 2 goes, Asus agrees that it has a similar philosophy to Valve. It wants to build a true successor when it can offer a significant performance boost, not just an incremental one. And while Asus doesn't plan to sell an aftermarket battery upgrade for original Ally buyers, it has a big software update for those buyers as well. Armory Crate SC 1.5. It's not only a very fresh paint coat or coat of paint and navigation improvements, it'll finally let players share their button mappings for various games with other Ally owners. All right, so more details on the Armory Crate SE 1.5. So that's going to be dropping in July, so 2 months from now, July 2024. More intuitive UI and even more customization. So it says beautiful, intuitive new interface design, new layouts for game library, make it easier to find your next game, grid view, list view, new horizontal view, new or customize your own, new ways to find your games, sort filter, my favorites, more functions under game profile like adding the game to my favorites, new light mode option. And then some of the new functions are share your game profile button mappings with the community or use the game profile shared by others. So that's going to be similar to what Valve does with the Steam Deck for custom controller layouts. Turn AFMF or AMD fluid motion frames on and off in Armory Crate SC. Uninstall games faster. Tap an option in Armory Crate SC to go right to Windows install apps. So that's pretty cool. New interface design. Oh, I like that. Yeah, they're going more so for with the Steam layout. Okay, I dig it. Control assistance showing current action options, 5 navigation items plus indicators such as time, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth battery. So these are going to be the new layouts that we're going to be seeing. So that's pretty cool. And then share your mappings. Yeah, so they're copying what Valve is doing. All right, so going further down, it says, Asus tells me it still believes in Windows, while Ming says we are very open-minded to looking at other solutions. And that the company does have conversations with Valve. Asus says it has philosophical and logistical reasons to stick with Microsoft's OS, including a desire to have the inclusiveness of all different game platforms instead of relying on Steam. I'll tell you about some of the logistical reasons in the feature story. Asus says it'll formally announce the ROG Ally X on June 2nd. Okay. Let's go over to the video on YouTube. So I got it right here. Let me go ahead and make sure video quality. Let's see, let's do 1080p. All right. It's an 11-minute video. Let me make sure. All right.
Good afternoon. We are live. So sorry for the delay, guys. We had originally intended to go on about an hour ago, but extenuating circumstances required us to push things just a little bit. Thank you to everyone in the community for waiting. Thank you to the folks at the Discord, Warlock, Mute, Raptors, all you guys for helping keep order during the confusion. I know the scheduled tweet went out early as well, so I'm sorry for the wait, but I am glad that you are all here for our sneak peek of the new Armory crate and a small tease of what's to come for the Ally. Jake, is my video really low frame rate?
It looks all right.
To you?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, cool. All right, let's kick it off.
Hey everyone, welcome to ROG Pulse, your weekly look at what's going on behind the scenes at the Republic of Gamers. And today we have some special news to share. And we're not necessarily giving out all of the details today, but we do know that you guys have heard some rumors. There's been a lot of chatter on the internet about a new device that may be on the horizon. So we're here to make it official.
Let's roll the clip.
Mark your calendars. The next ROG Ally is officially coming, and we'll have a special announcement on June 2nd. Here on ROG Pulse, all of the info pertaining to the new ROG Ally will be revealed.
We cannot tell you everything today, but we can confirm a few general things because, like Jake said, there's been a lot of rumor going around, and so we're here to officially set the record straight on some of the kind of generalities. So I can say that this is going to be more than just a basic refresh with like one spec change, right? It's not just, oh, we changed the color, we added some more storage. It's a little bit more than that. But at the same time, it's not a full redesign or a totally new generation. It's somewhere in between these two things. As a result,
mid-generation refresh.
The Ally 2, as alluded to in that video and the thumbnail of this video, if you caught it, the name is going to be the ROG Ally X. It is the ROG Ally built for the enthusiasts that wanted a bit of extra goodies. And almost everything that we put into this is a result of the feedback you, the community, provided us over the last 12 months.
Right. So, like Whitson said, not everything is changing, but there are significant improvements across the board. Some things that we can just kind of hint at is the battery has been improved, and it's not a small battery improvement. The battery is very good. And there's improvements to storage, RAM, even ports, and maybe even some other physical changes to the device itself. But I'm going to let you guys just kind of sit on that and speculate for the next couple of weeks, as we're not too far away from that June 2nd announcement.
So intriguing. Yes. It's going to be the same Z1 Extreme, the same VRR display that to me is like one of the biggest selling points of the Ally. But there's more than all of that. But that's all we're going to say for right now. Come back on June 2nd for the full rundown and get excited because you are going to like what you see. Now, that is the Ally X. Stay tuned. But there's one other thing we wanted to kind of show off a little bit and tease today. This new device is also going to come with Armoury Crate SE version 1.5, which is a fairly big UI overhaul to the software that runs the ROG Ally with some new features. It's not ready to do a live demo just yet, but I have been using the beta on my Ally, and I am actually really digging it so far. This update will come to the original Ally as well as the Ally X. We are still committed to supporting the original model. That isn't changing right now. So, Jake, let's pull it up and see what this is all about. This is the new version of Armoury Crate SE. This is going to be coming in July, slated for July right now. Now, the standard view, this looks probably pretty similar to what you see on your Ally now, but with some slight changes. It looks a little bit cleaner. I like the way it's all laid out. And you'll see there are some new tabs on the top. So you now have the ability to add certain games to a favorites list for quick access if you have a really big library, right? You hit those triggers on the top. You can also, we've separated the game platforms, the launchers, so things like Steam, Epic, GOG. Those tiles are now on their own little tab instead of intermingled with your game library, which, you know, I like keeping things really clean and neat, so I really like that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, big improvement.
And then we're also, if you look at the bottom, you'll see there's a little button that we have a new list view. So I don't have a screenshot of that, but you can switch between the grid view and the list view. And what's really cool is that you have a ton of new options to customize the layout. So we have a few screenshots of that. If you, I think if you hit that manage library button, yeah, you'll be able to completely rearrange the home screen. You've got this like carousel view that you can put it into. This, I want to just stay on this screenshot for a second, because this was like the first screenshot I saw of this new software version, and I was immediately sold. I was like, this looks incredible. I love this. But it's not just this. Like, you're gonna be able to configure this exactly how you want. So here are the different ways you can customize the view. I think we have some screenshots of that. You'll be able to adjust the size of the tiles. You'll be able to adjust where they are on the screen, top, center, bottom. You'll be able to show or hide the game titles from the tiles if you don't want to see, like if you just want to see the logo in the art itself. That's all really cool. I think there's another screenshot, Jake, if you skip to the next one. Yeah, that's the bottom. So you can, that background image that was showing up, you can add or remove blur from that or darken it to kind of just, it's all just aesthetic, but it really allows you to make the Ally yours in a whole new set of ways. When you highlight a game in Armoury Crate and you press X, you'll also have a few new options. So you'll see there's now an uninstall game option. We can't uninstall the game directly from Armoury Crate, but that will be a link to take you to Windows Add and Remove programs where you can then install it, just so you don't have to like minimize Armoury Crate and then go searching through the start menu, things like that. We're trying to make things easier for you to do as much as you want to do from Armoury Crate.
Yeah, it was a pain before.
You'll also be able to, if you go into the game profile, export and share your game profile templates. So now the community can trade button mappings for games and things like that. This is something that we'd been kind of talking about internally for a while. It'd be really nice, you know, if people go through the trouble of creating this really intricate custom button mapping, that then they could then share it with, you know, Reddit or Discord or the sites out there that are designed for sharing these types of things. So that is a small taste of what's coming. There is some more. There's some of it's just small stuff that I'm really excited about. There's just like some reorganization of a few things, like where the system updates are in the menus. Just everything makes a little bit more sense. It should be a little bit more intuitive. But those are some of the big features that are coming, and we can't wait to do a full demo for you guys. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel or our Twitch, subscribe, follow us. We'll be doing a demo of this at some point in the near future. Like Jake said, we'll be announcing this on June 2nd with all of the details. Subscribe and you will be the first to know everything.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to our preview. Again, like we said, June 2nd will be all of the details for the ROG Ally X. We can't wait to see you there. GG's.
Yeah, so, you know, all that to the side. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I mean, we kind of got all the information that we need to know from that Verge article. So we know it's coming, right? So, I will say this: it is iterative because it's not the true successor, but this is like it's a mid-generation refresh, and like the guy said, they need it. They made the changes based off of us. Now, the Ally, a lot of people absolutely loved it. Um, but there are also the issues with it. Micro SD card issues, one of the biggest ones. I've gone through it. I've gone through 2 RMAs, So I agree with the Verge article. Asus will not acknowledge that they need to fix that issue. They don't want to really acknowledge that there is an issue whatsoever. But the reality is, micro SD card issue was very much a thing. So, we just gotta keep a buck. Like, that's what that was. It was an issue. So, them moving things around, yeah, it is also to, you know, so they can fit in bigger battery life and everything like that. But they also know they need to move that micro SD card slot away from the heatsink. So, like I said, they don't want to acknowledge it, but that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what they were doing that for. Other than that, though, the other thing that we saw from the Verge article is that they are changing out the RAM, so it's going to have more than 16 gigs of RAM. And I think the reason they're doing that is, while 16 gigs is more than enough for games, there's still a bottleneck that you're going to run into. It's 16 gigs of RAM, especially with Windows, with not only the game, but also all the background processing that it's going to, Windows does in general. So I'm going to say they're going to have a 32 gigs of RAM option. So I think the Ally X is going to come at, I'm going to throw a price point and specs. So I believe it's going to have 1 terabyte of storage natively. The M.2 2280. It's going to have like 1 terabyte of storage. It's going to have 32 gigs of RAM, and it's going to have a much bigger battery life. I think the battery is going to be bigger than what we see in the it's over here. It's going to be bigger than what we have in the Lenovo Legion Go, which I'm all for. So, price point for this is probably going to be $699 or $799. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I think the current ROG Ally, I think they're going to phase out the non-Z1 Extreme, potentially. But they could also do it like the Steam Deck, where there are 3 models. So I believe that, considering they're going to continue selling the original model, I think it's going to be the non-Z1 Extreme, like just the standard Z1, the Z1 Extreme model, and then they're going to have this one right here, which is also still going to be Z1 Extreme, but it's going to be, better overall components. So I'm thinking we're going to look at a price point, $799 for the newer model. Then we're going to have $599 to $499 for the Z1 Extreme, the model, the high end one, the Z1 Extreme model we have now. And I believe the Z1 is probably going to be standard, like $399. They're going to give you 3 options, right? I don't have an issue with that. Personally, I think that would work. Give people 3 options, but ultimately it could be better from a business and logistical standpoint to just sell 2. But hey, I'm not there in these business meetings. So that's just one of the things I see. So also the fact that it's going to have, and think about this, the ROG Ally X, I say it's iterative. So understand that this is pretty much a damage control type of device, if we're being completely honest. I don't know how many people are going to agree with that, but I really think that this is a damage control device because of a lot of the goodwill that Asus had with the ROG Ally was gone with the lack of communication and also the all the hardware issues, frying micro SD cards and all that, the poor battery life. This is a damage control device. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not mad at him for it. but I can recognize what this is, and that's exactly what this is, right? So nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I mean, they had to do it somehow. So that's what that is. And honestly, I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I still love my ROG Ally. I play the Ally more than I do uh the Legion Go. It's just because, you know, the form factor. I love the D-pad. I know they're gonna make revisions to the D-pad. I think it has one of the best D-pads out there, especially for like fighting games and platformers. But if they're gonna revise it further, that's a plus, right? The analog sticks being removable, and also, giving you the option to utilize, potentially Gilly Kit, so for HoloFX 6, I think it's going to be great. So I'm assuming it's still going to retain the uh, linear trigger HoloFX, or linear HoloFX triggers. So I see it's going to retain that. And then they may even sell their own HoloFX stick modules. Companies don't really want to do that just because if they sell that, then why are you going to need to buy replacements, right? Look at PlayStation, for example. But I could see them selling it, but we already know Gilly Kids have their own modules. Bigger battery life. I'm looking forward to that because honestly, I know I was really excited for the MSI Claw, but with everything that's come out of how bad that is, I think this is technically going to be the device that I'm going to upgrade to. I'll reach out to ROG because I do have a direct line communication with them. So I'll see if I can get a review unit when, those start going out. But if anything, I'm still going to buy it. I love my Ally, right? Like I still play that frequently. So this is something I definitely will look to upgrade to. But yeah, I mean, everything we're seeing, especially with the improvements to Armory Crate, so I want to touch on that really quickly, is the issues with Armory Crate to me was the fact that you need to do Windows updates and then Asus updates through the My Asus app, and then you had to go through Armory Crate SE to do additional updates. Now, they have done updates. I'm not sure how many people have actually talked about this, but over um, the last year, they've made a lot of substantial updates to Armory Crate. There is no latency when trying to launch it, or the quick settings menu, and when you do updates in Armory Crate, you now no longer have to go to My Asus app and Armory Crate to do separate updates. They're all within Armory Crate, so that's great. And as far as sticking with Windows, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, we just put SteamOS on there." SteamOS is great, but like the President Yin said, or Senior Vice President Yin, why would you don't want to limit yourself to just Steam? There are other platforms out there. There's Epic Games, there's GOG, right? There's EA Origin, there is Battle.net. There are so many different platforms that are out there that why do you want to be limited to SteamOS? Granted, a lot of people complain about Windows, saying it's not optimized for handhelds and all this other stuff. You know what? At this point, just admit you like a Steam Deck. Just get a Steam Deck and just sit down and shut the fuck up about it, right? Or just load SteamOS on your Ally, whatever your handheld PC is, and just shut up about it, okay? Because there are those of us who don't mind it, and it just seems like a lot of people complaining. Majority are Linux fanboys, and then the others are casuals who only know Steam Deck. Which is funny because when Steam Deck came out, a lot of people couldn't figure out how to maneuver or operate that. We were coming from consoles, specifically the Switch. So it's just interesting. So my thing is sit down and shut the fuck up about that. But all that being said, though, I'm definitely excited for this as it's coming out. Sticking with Windows makes a lot of sense, especially when you factor in that's not going to limit you to just one particular platform. More gigs of RAM, means games are going to run smoother, have more to draw from. It gives enough resources for Windows, and also, in its background processes, also gives more resources for games, right? The fact that they're not including OLED screen, I'm not disappointed by that. I look at that as something where the OLED is going to be probably for the ROG Ally 2. I still stand on the fact that I think the ROG Ally 2 is going to be coming out next year. And I think this is going to be, like I said, this is a damage control device, but this is also something that I see that will give them an idea of what to do with the Ally 2. So those are my thoughts. I'm excited for this. June 2nd, I will be there. See if I can do like a simulcast, like stream when they do the announcement and everything like that. But I'm very excited for this. I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you're excited for the ROG Ally X, let's talk about it. Tell me what you think. Are you going to upgrade? Are you going to stick with what you got? Or are you just going to get a Steam Deck OLED? Whatever your thoughts are, let's go ahead and get the conversation going in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like it, sub to the channel for more, share it around. And if you want to support, we got merch. We got the new MK Tribal. We also have the DeckedUP for the show itself. We have our own DeckedUP shirts and just so much more, right? Got Patreon, got channel memberships. You can support the show directly on Spotify. If you listen to it on Spotify, you can be get subscriptions and stuff like that. But any little bit helps. So you even got Cash App, PayPal. Gotta get paid over here. But all that being said, catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe, have aloha, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.